Today is a beautiful, incredibly sunny day here in northwestern Pennsylvania. We are looking for birds because it's still migratory bird season, but we're also looking for whatever other cool animals might be out this time of the year. It is incredibly sunny, so I got my shades on. These bad boys making me look like Top Gun. Our goal today is to see maybe 10 species. Not maybe. Let's find 10 species of animals today, and we shall go. See you guys out there. So behind me is some pretty dried up goldenrod. And I can tell it's goldenrod just because of the way that it is. But this is all dead. It's early spring, and if you've ever seen goldenrod, you've seen these like bulbous masses on these goldenrods, and you probably wondered to yourself, or maybe you haven't, what the heck is that? And actually, here's one right here. This is a little bulb. It's a gal. So basically these bulbs form from an animal that lays its egg on here. The larva then goes inside and develops. What is that animal? This is the goldenrod gallfly. Now, goldenrod gallflies are a really tiny fly species that, like I said, are parasites basically to goldenrod. And they will create this bulb basically by laying an egg on here. The larva then hatches and burrows inside of the stalk. So this is what a normal stalk would look like, pretty straight, no bulb, but it'll burrow into the stalk, and then the plant's response, in any case to usually damage or a gal or something going inside of it, is to kind of create a bulb around it. And then what happens is that then larva eats, pupates, and then eventually will emerge from these gals. Effectively, it creates its own food source by making a gal in these goldenrods. Now, what's really cool is that this actually right here is what looks like one that might have emerged. So give me a second. This is a gal that has emerged. You can tell it's emerged when there's a hole in the side. Well, that's not always the case, but right here, you can see that little hole. Now there are, believe it or not, a couple predators to the gallfly. And one is a type of wasp, the other is a chickadee, which you can maybe hear cussing at me in the background, and the other is a downy woodpecker. And they love these little insects. But it's just kind of like maybe an answer to a question that nobody thought about asking. So there you go. I'm gonna put this back and we're gonna keep on our hike, and hopefully I'm not covered in ticks. See trees like these that are broken at the bottom here, and it's just barely being held up by that tree right there. We call these Widowmakers. And the reason is because people like me go walking under these trees and then my wife's a widow. So you don't want to walk under these. Whoa, so in this wetland behind me is something called skunkweed, or what I call skunkweed, maybe more colloquially is called skunk cabbage. And no, I'm not talking about the THC producing cannabis joyous plant that people tend to love. This is a wetland foliating plant that smells like skunk. And if you've ever been in the woods or climbing around an area where there might be wetlands, you've probably encountered these things in North America. They do stink. And for those of you that are nature lovers and like, man, can I eat that? Well, first of all, why would you want to eat something that smells like a skunk? Okay, there's the first one. But then again, why do people smoke something that smells like a skunk? But that's besides the point. You wouldn't want to eat these because they have calcium oxalate crystals in them, which if you don't know, can cause serious prickling in your mouth when you're eating it. So, oh, why does my mouth hurt after I ate that and it tasted like butt crack? Oh, it's toxic. You can't eat these. And if you eat them in high enough quantities, you can cause irritation to your intestines and all that jazz, and you might end up being hospitalized. So if you ever see these guys in the wild, enjoy them, I guess, and leave them be. Just don't eat them, whatever you do. So then you might be asking yourself, Daniel, good old Danny D, Big D, why are they here? What is their importance here in this ecosystem? And to that I have to answer you, they are incredibly important. First of all, they're the first pretty much flowering type of plant to burst through the snowfall. And though they release an odor to you and me, might be disgusting and stanky, and they're inedible to us, flies love them. And more importantly, maybe to some at least, not to all, sorry entomologists, bears love these. In fact, they make up a great portion of the bear's diet when they come out of hibernation, and they'll eat these and they love them, which gives it oftentimes the name bear's ear. But perhaps the most interesting thing about skunk cabbage, bear's ear, or whatever you want to call it, is that they're one of the only plants that are thermogenic, meaning that they actually produce their own heat to melt through the snow and ice, which is one of the reasons they're the first plant to pretty much burst through the snow and ice in the early spring, late winter. Who knew? It's also getting pretty close to salamander season, so let's hopefully find some of those. And I'm not normally a plant guy, but listen to me here. For the longest time, I thought that it was poison hemlock. I know, an idiot. I was watching Bear Grylls and him making tea out of hemlock trees, and I was like, how to get rid of the toxins? And it wasn't until only a few years ago, you know, this is one of the stupid Daniel moments, that I realized that hemlock trees are different than poison hemlock. Poison hemlock is a fennel, which is more closely related to carrots than any type of tree, and hemlock trees are very closely related and are gymnosperms, so conifer-esque trees. I feel like a little bit of an idiot, but I just fair, you know what? Like, I don't get everything right all the time. I'm always learning too, guys. For those that don't know, trees are perfect habitat, like these felled trees here that are fallen from wind or whatever, are perfect habitats for all kinds of detritivores as well as amphibians. So in a few hopefully videos, we're going to be going out to see the spring migration of salamanders. So, because I love salamanders, I'm a herpetologist, but places like these are really great for salamanders to hide out in. Ugh, see how rotten that is? Perfectly moist for a salamander. Oh, pulp! To the untrained eye, this nasty little algae-ridden pool is kind of gross and like, ugh, what would want to be there? This is what I'm talking about. This is a vernal pool, a temporary body of water that typically shows up this time of year in early spring, late winter, and the amphibians love these. So we're gonna actually see if there's anything in there, and I'll show you what it is. Oh, I hope we find some salamanders, man. Let's see if there's anything in here or not. Ugh. We don't want to disturb it too much because we don't want it. Whoa! Yeah, pro tip. Don't kneel on rotten wood too much, or at least don't rely on it to hold you up. The great part about vernal pools, and the reason that they're so good for amphibians, has nothing to do really directly, at least, with the fact that they are temporary. It has something to kind of be indirectly, right? So if there's not a landing body of water that's here a long period of time, one animal can't really be here. Fish! And fish are pretty good predators and will often eat things like frogs or salamanders, given the opportunity. But in temporary bodies of water, fish can't live. So, salamanders have found a way to migrate, and same with other types of amphibians like frogs and toads, to migrate to what are vernal pools, temporary bodies of water, and breed during a very specific, small window of time in these areas where there's a very temporary body of water to avoid predation, at least to the extent that they would get in a body of water that would be permanent, that would have more predators. So basically, the reason that vernal pools are so important for amphibians is because they're temporary, less predators. I'm not seeing anything. Not yet, anyways. You heard that? It's chickadee. We talked about them again earlier. Holy cow, that smells bad. Ugh. Yeah, well, I think it's a little early maybe to be looking for amphibians, at least here. It doesn't seem like there are too many of them, so we're gonna go ahead and keep on going and see if we can find anything. Please. Bit of an explorer. My pants are falling down. Let's see what's in here. Check it out. This is so cool. It's literally a keystone, which is the stone that holds like a kind of structure like this together, like a dome shape, in the Keystone state. So, for good luck, I touched it. Whoa. This is so cool. This is just out here in the middle of this wildlife refuge. Dude, how cool is this? Made of sandstone, looks like. Wow, this is incredible. I mean, like, touch the keystone for good luck. All right, let's keep going. Ow. I hate multiflora rose, by the way. Invasive species, one of the most annoying things that's ever been brought over. All right, I had to show you guys this. This tree right here has been gnawed by little rodent teeth, looks like, all the way up like the mid portion of this tree. And then whatever it was probably looking for one of two things: one, to eat the bark of the Cambrian, or to look for insects in it as well. And I think that this looks like, based on the wood chips and everything, this could be a porcupine that did this. So there could be a porcupine in our immediate vicinity. For those that don't know, porcupines, the American porcupine, has curved quills. They don't really eject them like you would see in the cartoons. It's kind of a misnomer. They are primarily arboreal, meaning that they live up in these trees. So they'll eat the bark, sometimes the insects, and move from tree to tree. And oftentimes what you'll see is this right here, which is a portion of the tree that's been just eaten out, and they'll move to another tree. I don't see any other trees in this general vicinity. They're also nocturnal, meaning they come out only at night. So it's also very possible that it's hiding, sleeping up in one of these trees. And they are very hard to spot when they are hiding. For those of you that don't know, I'm a wildlife biologist and I'm a Christian. So I believe that conservation is extremely important. And I believe God put us on this earth to protect the wild lands, protect the wildlife. Originally, we were the stewards of this beautiful planet. And as a result of the fall, priorities have shifted a little bit. But I do think that Christians kind of see environmentalist or conservationist as kind of like a trigger word of like, oh no, that's liberal, or oh no, that's bad. We are the caretakers of this place. We have to play our role and honor God in that way. And we are the stewards of what He made. We have a place in this ecosystem, and that place is caretaker, is steward, is rejuvenizer. And that's what I feel called to talk about that and do that in my everyday life. Would you just look at how freaking smooth this tree do be? Holy cow! Dude, this thing is smoother than Michael Jackson. I hope there's no one out here. It's a chickadee calling back to my call. Listen to this. Chickens. Literally surrounded by them. There's like 3 or 4 of them. How cool is that? It's so neat. I'm pretty good at bird calls, especially chickadees apparently. Yeah, they called me the Disney princess, but a man version of it. Not in Disney. Nothing to do with being a princess, just everything to do with being able to call in the wildlife and the animals.
Yo, but what if I stuck my whole finger down that hole, dude? Yeah, but nah, but if I did though, nah, but if I did,
I just wanted to see this. Look at this. Whoa. How neat. A cubby. Oh. So this is kind of gross, but interesting. Right here is an owl pellet or some kind of raptorial pellet. Basically when big birds of prey eat a lot of things like bones and hair or whatever, they can't digest it. So they kind of almost vomit up a little pellet. And this is what it looks like. It's real gross, but now you guys know what those weird things are. The cool thing is, I'm looking at this right now, and there's a jawbone in here. A jawbone. Look at that. Ooh, grody. Ooh. Come on, Mr. Photo. We don't have much further to go. Let's go. Well, my shoes are kind of muddy and disgusting, but it was a beautiful hike. We saw a chickadee and I got to call back to it like a Disney princess, as I mentioned before. We saw some awesome habitats and learned about a couple plants, which I'll be honest, I'm not a botanist, so you guys are lucky that you got to learn that from me. It's been an awesome adventure for me. Literally, if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button. And as always, guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button and become part of the Real Wild Adventure family. Also, don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you know when our videos come out. And as always, keep it real, keep it wild. Oh, my thumb! And I'll see you in the next adventures here on Real Wild Adventure.